Oh, and Teresa's stuck. There, you're back. Teresa, go ahead. Bring us in, Teresa.
In and out. That's my motto now. Welcome to Spirit Sessions View of the Light. Each and every one of you. It is so full of pleasure to come every week and be here with our family, one way or another, and it's great. So share it out, go to YouTube, watch it on TV, just go anywhere that you listen to a podcast, and then you'll have us there. And we have the most amazing conversations with people. We learn the most amazing things. And Rhonda's been on that journey with me, and Bex, who you'll see another time. Today, we were listening to some amazing stories from Christina Alyssia, and I am so excited. She is returning guest on our show, and I'd like to bring her on again. Rhonda, tell us what you know about her.
Christina is an ascended warrior, and she comes from the military. She had a very high-level job there. She has been working with soldiers in helping with their post-traumatic stress, and she's just a light worker extraordinary, and she's coming out of that goddess energy, and she's becoming that goddess energy. And she's found a new mission as well as her old missions, I think. And Christina, I want you to tell us about where these secret sites are, how you're doing it, but why you're doing it. But first tell us a little bit about yourself, because I really believe that that's what everybody wants to know.
Yes. So as always, ladies, thank you so much for having me on. I always appreciate it in the conversations that we get to have on here. So as you said, I was in the military. I joined the military outside of high school because I always felt that call to serve. I tell people all over the world, when I was a kid, I knew I was going to save the world. That was like the one job that I wanted to do. What do you want to be when you want to grow up? Well, I want to save the world. And forever people laughed at me. So I figured the military was the closest that I could get. It was serving, it was protecting, which it really, really fed that need inside of me. And although I'd always been spiritual, I really had to sever that in order to go into the military and to do that job well. When I got out, I just like I'd forgotten that part of me. And eventually I hit a wall and got very, very depressed and wasn't sleeping and all the rest. And I had to reconnect. And I went to the Edgar Cayce Institute in Virginia Beach. And those wonderful light bulb aha moments just started flicking on. And for the last 15 years, it's been a journey of aha moments, but always trying to figure out what is the next mission. Because I've always been so mission oriented. It's working with the veterans and doing all that felt like a great thing to do. Reaching out, putting out information to help veterans find and connect with themselves, but it wasn't flowing. It didn't feel like it was flowing naturally. It felt like something I was trying to force. So as of a couple months ago, I had taken a hiatus for about 2 years from the public world. About 2 months ago, I came back and said, all right, I'm ready to dive back in and to be a public teacher again. And I just started putting stuff out. I joined a spiritual group and I started putting out card readings. I started channeling in messages directly and not letting the fear that had kept me back or that old stigma of the military, and I'm just getting this message in as I'm even saying this, part of what kept me from really jumping into the spiritual work with veterans was still that taboo of a soldier being spiritual. There's so much stigma about how soft and how wonky or whatever you want to call it. So it's channeling for people, reading cards for people was always something I felt a lot of stigma over. So I only did it for myself. So as of this 2023, I said, you know what, I'm just going to post these. And all of a sudden messages were coming in like crazy. I was connecting with people all over the world. And I got invited at the beginning of March to go to Ireland for the solstice. And I am always down to travel. I said, all right, I want to do this. And it was a group of spiritual women. And as soon as we touched down, all of the channeled messages, all of the card readings, everything just seemed to click into place. And it was not just a location that I was attached to and that I'd spent many lives to. It was a mission that I could feel in every cell of my body. And these sites that we were going to, which have been really stagnant for thousands of years, are essentially screaming out to be reactivated. They're ready. They're ready to come back online for the purpose that they were created to do. And I could feel that so clearly when we went to them. So that has become, and it has not become, it's reawakened that mission inside of me to go back out and reactivate these sites, disconnect any of the pollutants and the toxins that they've been exposed to, and also bring in their keepers, their people all around the world that are drawn to these sites that are meant to be connected to them. So bringing them back in to reconnect, to feed that relationship, to reconnect that, like a true twin flame relationship, not between just two souls, but between something higher, feeding and reconnecting this beautiful grid of light all over the world so that we can call back in those higher energies and that higher gifts and those beings that are just waiting to be tapped in and said that we're, tell them we're ready. So that's the new mission. And I get very excited about it.
It sounds supremely daunting, but at the same time, it sounds so true. It sounds like it sounds like it's something that's being called, like you say, like the grid wants to be woke up. It wants to be woke up. It wants to have those strong points, almost like the Earth's chakra system wants to be cleared and re-energized
Yes.
again. And it's not just what we know, what we believe is the Earth's chakra system. It's all those chakras in the Earth, those centers of power and energy want to be woke up so they can support their communities of light workers around them, right?
Absolutely.
That's the way. Now, how do you do that? How is that done? How have you found to do that? Because I just have no idea. So can you describe that for us?
So it's daunting in the sense that it feels like there's more places than I could ever possibly visit in a lifetime. But so when we went to the first place that we landed at in Ireland, there's just 3 of us that got in early. So we decided to just visit Mary Magdalene's Tower, which we just found on a map. I've never heard anybody talk about a tower designated to Mary Magdalene in Ireland. But we decided just to go up and visit it. And it's this single tower, these ruins, the single tower ruins surrounded by neighborhood. Like they're pushing right up to the gates of her structure. And you go there and the sign to show that it's Mary Magdalene's Tower is about 8 feet up in the air. So nobody can read it. It's too high for anybody to read. And there is a cell tower with dishes pointed directly at her at almost the exact same height, about 100 yards away from her. And you could just feel it shooting energy. And when you look at this site, it looks like a being holding its space. And it's just holding on. It's like, look, you can come right up to my borders, but you can't come any further. This is all I have the strength to hold right now is my aura. So we walked into this site and all of us were getting very different experiences based on when we had personally connected with the site. And I could see this beautiful place of gathering and ceremony, but the tower itself, what was left was just an arch. And when you walked through it, you could feel that connection to like different parts of the world. I felt very heavily the UK and the Avalon energy when you walked into it. And you could just see people walking through these archways and ending up in a different sacred ground. And that's so they could share information, so they could connect and do these ceremonies. So I sat down and I had my cards with me and I just threw down some cards. And the cards were saying, see with your true sight, see with your heart sight. And I was fearful to do the energy work out in front of these were strangers that I was going to Ireland with. I didn't know them. But I stood there and I used my hands to pull the energy of the cell tower and to push it down into the ground so that the earth could reabsorb it and transmute it. And I was just following whatever image was popping into my knowing to do, to touch certain stones, to do certain ceremonies. And I just followed. I followed what it told me to do. And when I didn't hear anything left, I left. So it was nothing that I had to go with the intention of doing. It was what appeared when I arrived. And it was such an incredible beginning to the trip because it got more and more complex. And the more I said yes to the mission, the more easily it came. So that was just being able to say, all right, I'm pushing out my fears of being foolish, being seen as foolish, being seen as spiritual, and just did it. And it was an absolutely stunning experience. And I 100% blacked out my phone. And I could not get GPS to navigate us away from Mary Magdalene's tower because I'd messed with the cell tower so badly. I was like, I have bricked my phone. we need a map. But it was absolutely stunning. And the whole trip was like that. We ended up going to Long Cru, which is a beautiful site that had these, it's on the top of a hill. And there's several of them. They call them Long Carns, which is like this mound of earth. And you could see the energy flow underneath the earth, created these beautiful mounds. And I guess this happens in the UK too. But you could see them shifting directions. And this was not man-made stuff. We just don't have that ability. And tapping into the sacred ceremonies that were done there and actually going through and doing them myself, walking in the spirals, connecting into the energies of the druids and the goddesses, and the fairies were super, super friendly. At one point, they even gave me this little amethyst.
Oh, really?
There was a fairy tree in Dowith. And I was just up, and I'd brought a crystal, Lemurian seed, to leave there, and I completely forgot it. So I had this little bottle of whiskey that we had brought with us because it was so cold. So I gave the fairies whiskey. So I figured they like it. And I bent down to give them the whiskey, and there was this just beautiful piece of amethyst in the center of the tree. I was very careful. I was like, "Are you sure you want me to take this? Because I know you guys are vengeful little critters." It was just such an absolutely magnificent trip. The land was speaking, and it was saying, look, we're ready to be heard. We're ready for our missions to come back online. Not the human mission, the mission of those sites and those places. They are souls, and they're ready to come back online and do what they were intended to do.
That's so. Did the other people feel a difference in the tower, or did you find out any information about the tower later, or how it ended up there?
Everybody had very different experiences. So several of the two of the other women that were there with me were there when it was last destroyed. There was a big massacre there in the 1200s. So when they connected to the energy of the place, all they could see was pain and feel that pain and the screaming. And so it was a very different emotional experience for them. And they tapped into it in a very different way. So I did not go back and look at how the tower reacted, but I could feel the strength, and I can feel it even now too. The beam, it's like a lighthouse now. Its light is clean and it's beaming back up, and it's able to communicate more than it was, and hopefully clear out a lot of. Ireland had a lot of stagnant energy. It is such a alive place, but these sacred sites have been
tamped down.
They've been churched. They put these wonderful tombs, these very human structures on these sacred sites, and they're just to kind of throw off the frequency. And you do that enough, and you have enough massacres and battles on these sites, and it really taints them. So I can feel that she's still cleaning herself, and calling people back to them. She was a great site of birth. People come up there to celebrate birth and life and the seasonal changes. So bringing them back to that, getting them back in touch with the flow of earth. I can still feel that she's still working.
Wow. Do you think you have to go back again? Do you believe you? I mean, who wouldn't want to go back again? But I just wondered.
Yes, I definitely want to go back to Ireland. There were other sites that needed more Like she was holding her own. She really was. She needed that cell tower to be grounded. But some of the other sites have been completely. We went to Newgrange. If you've heard of Newgrange, that's the
Mhm.
very famous site out there,
Yeah, my daughter was there.
and it is so sickly controlled. So you go in, and they have multiple ticket tellers that you have to go through, and then they corral you into the space. And at this time, you have to be corralled to a bus, and then you get corralled to the site. You have 1 hour total at the site. You cannot walk alone. You have to have a guide. They will take you in small groups into the tomb, or what they call the tomb. They give you this whole spiel about how farmers created this site, and they created it for their purposes, like just all garbage, all
Like,
garbage.
yeah, even from the pictures, like I can't even imagine how that happened.
It was so controlled that it was making my skin crawl. Like I had to keep walking away from the tour guide just to block out the sound of his voice. They would not let you walk into the place alone. They wouldn't let you stay in there alone. And it was all very controlled. In an hour, you had to get back on the bus and you had to go back to the site. So me and two of the other women, we created a triangle, a pyramid out front of the site just to ground in the energy. Because as soon as you got there, it just felt wrong. And this is supposed to be a great feminine site. But it was like you could see like lightning shards going up off the ground. It was just felt very disconnected energy. It was scattered. The energy had no place to go. It just felt very confused, and it had been so humanized that it was confused. It's like I don't know what I'm supposed to do anymore. I've got this energy coming up, but it's just pinging. So the three of us created a triangle to just work on reconnecting, almost like reconnecting arteries, while he was giving his spiel, because he talked for a solid 10 minutes about what he was trying to tell people the site was for. So the three of us, we took corners, and again, it was a time to say, I don't care what people see or how I react or how I'm perceived, and just calling in energy. And I learned that I'm very kinesthetic. I like to use my hands. So calling in energy, just blocking out everything else. And that site needs a lot more work. That one needs to be gone to by many, many, many other people. That is not something that one group will ever be able to heal, because it has been so controlled for so long.
Wow.
And still is. But she's got support. And it's one of the examples of the humanization of these sites. They talked about Newgrange being the great or the feminine. And then there's two soul sites, two accompanying sites that they said were masculine. So on the way back to the bus, we told them, we're like, we don't want to get on the bus. I don't want to, the whole group felt that this was wrong. So we asked them, where's the nearest other site? We're just going to walk. So we're walking along this country trail in Ireland, and there's one sign that says, okay, Dowith is up this way. We get closer, there's no signs, and there's this little tiny gate off to the side. No sign in front of it saying what it is. And then this beautiful mansion, like castle looking thing. So we're thinking, is it the castle that we're supposed to go to? But we're pulled off into this gate, and there it is. She's hidden completely off on the side. It was not a masculine site at all. It was actually in the shape of a womb. It's the beautiful horseshoe shape. And you can go to the top of these, the horseshoe at the top of the womb and look down. But everybody's attention is pulled to the castle, to the mansion. And you would not know that she was there. And as soon as you tapped in, you're like, this is not masculine. That is just misinformation that's been put out there. It was like the great marriage. You could feel the connection of birth, being able to rebirth something. That's where my fairy tree was.
Oh, okay.
So every site just was a complete adventure. You had no idea what you were going to see, but tapping into them and hearing what they had to say and what they said they were and what their mission was just, it was completely life-changing. And I came home with a whole new lease on what it was that I could do. And I've started doing work here in the DC area as well. Because I was born here. So I was born here for a reason. There are not a ton of spiritual people in the DC area.
Really?
There are groups for sure.
But they wouldn't be out and about like advertising because of the kind of the staunch dome that's over the place,
Yeah,
right?
it's nothing like California or Colorado or any of those. You'll find little niches for sure, but it's not a focus. The focus is the rat race.
Right.
So I was teaching a course for the military these last couple weeks, and in the afternoons, I was just being told, go into the city and clear these sites, because you hear about Washington D.C. was built on a pentagram. The founding fathers, the Masonics, built it on a pentagram, and what they actually did was they dissected the ley lines of DC and tapped into them to create this very personal energy for them and for their missions. So I went to the pentagram, and there's one street that dissects the pentagram, 16th Street. It's the White House goes down to the mall, which is the memorial, and you go up 16th Street, and I had crystals with me, and I'm moving my crystals. I'm stopping. I'm tapping into anything that I need to tap into. I'm videotaping this whenever I'm doing the clearing, so I can go back. There's a ton of orb activity, a ton of light activity coming in to help. And I just dissected the entire pentagram and created a diamond. So I took the shape that it was in, and I ended it. I completed it, and I made it a full diamond, just cleansing the whole way. And as I was walking up 16th, every type of church, including Scientology, including some of the weirder ones that you would not expect to see, have property on 16th Street. And they're siphoning energy off of this massive ley line. So the whole way, I'm just like, disconnect you. And I send out these videos to people. I say, please help send light in to patch up these ley lines that are just being used as sieves. Disconnect anything that it should not be feeding, any negative energy, disconnect that, allow it to flow cleanly. So I only time will tell how much one type of work, one type of event will help, but it feels wonderful to do. It feels right to do it. And so I want to take this mission all around the world, and I want to bring people back to the sites that they connect to. Starting in some of the US ones, Mount Ida, I'm hoping to do in September, but then going back to Peru and Easter Island and Bolivia and all these other UK, France, Japan, parts of Africa, like the whole world is scattered with them.
Right.
They're only secret in the sense that we aren't acknowledging them. We know of sacred sites as in like the big 20, but there are thousands and thousands and thousands out there that we can tap into to help reconnect this like Christ consciousness, this crystalline grid, and activate the planet to make the shift easier for all of us. It's going to awaken souls in such a massive wave as we do this, and align us with our purpose in a way that I know I haven't felt, and just kind of really clear that up. We always ask for what's the next step? Where are our guideposts? Where are the signs telling you what direction to go to? This is it. These are going to clear those up and make those signs easier to read and unlock gifts in a brand new way for people. My gifts have been coming in fast and hard because I said yes to doing a mission, and truly for the first time in a real way.
So you got that call to Ireland, that invitation, and you knew right away it wasn't like, yeah, but that's expensive and that's something I don't want to do. I mean, they made it easy for you, right, to say yes?
No, not at all. I had to be slightly sneaky about it. I 100% wanted to go. And I had a work trip to the Philippines coming up. So I told my husband, I'm just going to tack it on to the Philippines trip. It won't cost us a dime. But then the Philippines trip fell through. And I told my husband, I was like, well, I really want to do it. I'll use miles. Yes, I was going. It was not easy. I had to be a little sneaky about it, but I was going.
You found the way.
I found a way. Yes.
The way found you, or whatever which way it goes. Yeah. Yeah. Saying yes is the first part. You don't worry about the hows. It's just going, right?
Right. Absolutely. And one of the things that I love to teach people and really embrace is the bigger pattern. So for a long time, I realized that my superpower is being able to see how things connect, see how the pieces of the pattern and why things happen in our lives the way that they do. So for me, I've always loved the idea of traveling and doing retreats and everything else, but it just felt too big. But then I look back at my past, and in the military, I had to travel with large groups of people. I had to make sure every logistics element was set perfectly. Training people, leading them, making sure that everybody has the information that they need, that the site is ready, that all that, like dot, 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 dot.
Yes. I
I'm
mean, the military training trained you for this.
I am weirdly prepared to take people to these sites. And I realized that in Ireland, because I'm so organized, I was navigating to all the sites and helping out with all that other stuff. It's every aspect of who and what I am and my experiences has prepared me to do these things. So now it's time. It's time to get out there and say, all right, I see this part of my pattern and I'm ready to act and to do it.
I see a lot of your soul sisters from
I know. I love my
from
girls.
Shasta are here, and there's Melinda and Katie and Karen. They're all in. Hi, girls. I love you. Yeah, and that was sort of a beginning kind of thing in a lot of ways, as it just kind of gave you like, oh, this is how it can be.
Yes. I didn't go there to work. It's a subtle but very for me profound shift. I've traveled the world and I love connecting to sites and meditating. Like I've meditated at the top of Machu Picchu and Easter Island and Bangkok and just all over the world. But going there and saying, okay, what can I do for you? Like what is my work here was a very different idea for me. And I didn't go to Ireland thinking necessarily that would be my job or how it ended, but it shifted something in me. It was taking an active role in my own spirituality in a really big way. And it just felt right. It felt more aligned with that mission, that protective warrior energy that I've got, instead of just kind of hoping that spirit would show me the way. It's like, okay, we'll tap in and see what it says.
Yeah, that's so cool. So cool. I can see you. Yeah, I would never hesitate going on a retreat with you, Chris, because everything would be taken care of, and you would know where you were going because you can read them out. And we don't. What I was thinking though, when you're talking about the cell towers and how they were pointed directly at that site, it's almost as if that was planned,
Oh,
in this
100%.
way. That the powers that be. So then I'm starting to think about the cell tower that's put across the road from me and going, why is that there now? Like of all the places. And so,
The big thing in Virginia right now, where I am, is the data centers. They are popping up all over the place. And these giant, massive energy cells that they're pushing out are right next to neighborhoods. And they love to pretend like it will have no effect whatsoever on the life there, not just human, but plants and animal. It is insidious. And one of the things that I saw definitely in DC, when I told you that those churches were tapping into the energy, the churches felt dark and they were claiming power for themselves. And you could see that in Ireland as well. There's the Hill of Tara is one of the most famous sites out there. It's supposed to be the location of the fairy stone, which is another portal, 100% a portal and a landing site. But you get there, there is a man's tombstone right next to the fairy stone. And he was a donator. So they put his tombstone right there. Like that's some insidious stuff. They take what is beautiful and they say, all right, how do we make this a little foggy? How do we disrupt this flow just a little bit? And if enough people do that, it'll vector it off. So with light workers coming back online in such a real way, and we're scattered all over the world, these sites are in our backyard. So we can disconnect them. We can disconnect those cell towers. We can disconnect those big cloud data centers that they're setting up all over the place. If a site calls to you, it calls to you for a reason. So it's really just connecting in and seeing, what does that site want you to do?
Mm.
How exciting.
Whole mission to, yeah. So that's a very, very profound statement. Now it makes me think of, they're putting up cell towers all over the world. Everywhere there's cell towers, but these sacred sites are all over the world, as if they were the cell towers in the beginning.
Absolutely.
And they were the ones that beamed energy to everybody else. I can just see the grid. So they would connect, and if you had a low spot, they'd stick another sacred site in there so that the grid would be uninterrupted. So why do you think that they were decommissioned? Why do you think? And Teresa was talking about this earlier, why they were decommissioned. So, or they had gone into hibernation or whatever you want to call them.
Do you want to share that story first? I would love to hear more of that story.
It's a past life memory I've had with Rhonda and Bex, and there's others of us, because even Janelle was still from Australia. So this is 11,000 years ago. And I don't know if we were like incarnated as humans. Or I feel more that we were walking as spirit women. I don't know how you call it. And we could shape shift. I, of course, a dragon, Rhonda, all kinds of things. In fact, we would gather groups together, and Rhonda could channel a being and actually look just like it, as if they were there, and we would be listening to her. And we would go to different sacred sites. I guess we started in Iceland and made our way through, Europe and everything, and then all the way down. I guess we ended up actually lower Africa, through Egypt. And so there was a whole tour that we were on. And what we were doing is we were deactivating the sacred sites, because at the time, it was right before there was a big change. I don't know if it's the sun plasma hit the earth. I don't know what it was. There was some kind of 11,000 years ago, some kind of destruction. This is right before that. And this is part of the preparing, because collectively mankind had chosen to go through lessons in the 3D, not in the higher vibrations when these things were all originally set up. So they couldn't be online anymore because the energies were not right, which made it very susceptible to those who would want to abuse it. So a lot of the places we had to go to and turn them off, turn them down, and energy is still stored all around. Like you activating them, you're doing exactly what we had done, because it's time now, and the grid of the earth is ready for it, that the ley lines are all ready for it. It's time to come back online, and this is going to help all of us immensely. So that's what I know a little bit.
I 100% resonate with that. It wasn't their time anymore. They were set up at the foundation of Earth. And if you think about the story of the Pleiadian sisters or mothers, depending on who you hear their story from, they came down and seeded the planet so that when it was time, when it was ready to ascend, it would already have that seed ready to go. And I feel like that's what the sacred sites are as well. I always see lighthouses, because there's a beautiful beam of light just going straight up and straight down, sending out messages like, come home, it's here, here's the location. It's like a battery, a place to recharge and group and come together and celebrate and connect in. So we went through the journey that we chose to go through, and they needed to reserve their power as much as they could. So that's what I felt with the Mary Magdalene thing. She kind of just went like this. And she's like, I'll stay here. You guys can't take my spot. But until you're ready, I'm going to reserve myself.
Yeah.
And now I just feel I'm kind of just opening back up and flowering back up as
like a seed that's been in hibernation. Yeah.
I love the imagery of that. And it's so exciting to really tap into those in a active way instead of just as a passive way. We're connecting into them to help them and to raise them and to reach light workers, not just on this planet, but outside, who are literally just waiting for, the baton. It's like a relay race. We're going to get it so far, and then I'm ready to hand you this baton. And they're like, all right, well, I'm ready, you know?
Well, I think this conversation has activated a few people there. Holmes was talking about Sarasota Beach, and she was wondering if that was on a list of places. And then
Well,
Gina said she felt it too. And then Christy was talking about she's activating, though I thought my mind was blown. So they're all having this side conversation about activating Sarasota Beach because it's all pink quartz and it feels like an active site.
It sounds lovely. And
I have never been to Sarasota, but yeah, it's cool.
I don't think I have either.
Tampa, but not Sarasota, and Clearwater, but not there. So,
any place by the water is just naturally powerful. The ocean holds its own in a way that I think sometimes the earth can't because it's flowing so well. So it can really move a lot of that toxic energy out in a way that sometimes the earth can't. And I am a huge fan of all crystals. This is my new amethyst.
Cool.
I'm sorry, it's so dark in here. It's noon.
Well, it's noon here, but it's
I love the oval shape that we got there. But so taking your crystals to the ocean, if it's already got that crystalline energy, you've got the rose quartz there with the unconditional love. Oh my gosh, I would tap into that in a heartbeat. So just sit there. And for me, it's whatever. If images pop up, great. Otherwise, I'll ask Spirit, is there anything I need to do here? If not, just being. This is not necessarily going and I have to physically like dig a hole. Sometimes you just being there and saying, I connect. You have my love. You have my consciousness. That's enough. And if you just go to those places, you go to that beach and you just tap in and send your love and say, I'm here. That can be enough.
Yeah.
I agree because recently, and we're talking about Florida and all anyway, I was doing a reading for somebody who's moving there. And I kept feeling, in the reading, when I channel for her, is that she was being called back to there from some past life, but called back to there because her walking along the water and just being reflective, her walking there was enough to get things lining up. And she spends time in Bali too. And you see, there's got to be some sort of another line along there somewhere that connects that. And just her walking there and being open, having her heart open and things. I never got that she had to do anything. She didn't have to grid crystals, just her feet, her own energy connecting in with her earth star and the crystalline grid there was like magic enough or something. What do you think? I mean,
100%. That gave me chills. It's perfect. We're called to these places for a reason. We really are. Think of every time you thought it was your imagination. Like I love Tudor England. So something about that time period and those places mean something to me. So I'll go there and I'll connect and see what it is about that energy. If you're very into the Native American traditions and there's certain tribes that call to you, or the Avalon traditions, Atlantis, there's thousands of places that call to us for a reason. If we can't be there in person, because logistics is an issue, tap into it metaphysically.
Oh, absolutely. It works just the same, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's real. Yeah. No, distance is not real. It is profound to touch in. So there's a site, and I'm getting this message even as I'm saying it. There's a site in each of our worlds that can act almost like a cornerstone. It's a place that you feel connected to spiritually. It's a place that you go and you feel calm when you sit there. Anytime you want to do work on another location that you can't physically get to, that's a good, clear channel for you to sit in and do that work.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's a site that it's already cleared itself of the energy just by your tapping into it. And I immediately know the spot that I would go to do that.
Yeah. My forest is it's one big, it's got magic in it. It does.
Think how much more magic will come to the surface. Yeah. And I did a reading for this last new moon, which was the hybrid solar eclipse, which comes around every decade. And it was saying that we're reaching a choice. We're reaching a place where we can decide to keep going the way that we're going, or to make the harder choice and go with a decision that's less comfortable. And if we take that path, the card that came up was the Magician. It says all of a sudden the new journey, the magic's coming back, and you're going to see magic is going to come to you in every way. It's going to come to you in the animals that are around you, in the voices that you hear, and the images that you see, which is why I love recording these things. I'll just bring out my phone and I'm talking to the earth, I'm talking to my spirits. And when I go back and I can see the orbs and I can see the light coming into the body, it's such wonderful validation that I'm not doing this alone. You know, I'm offering my help to beings that are already doing this. And by doing that, we're making such massive changes.
Yeah, I think you're almost like the lightning rod that grounds in the energy, and that helps them because everybody, you're a conduit.
Yes.
Right? You're a conduit. So just much like we're a conduit when we do Reiki, we're a conduit for these forces of good to help reactivate. So it's like you need to have everything in the recipe to make it work. And so
the thing about
intention.
Light workers not embodied here can't do the same things that we can embody. It's why so many of us chose to come down at this time. It's like nobody can make fun of your hometown but you, right? Nobody can offer recommendations or changes for your hometown but you. It's the same thing for Earth. We came down so that we would be in the right place to really, what is the right word that I'm looking for? Channel in, connect these changes.
Give permission. I think it's all about giving permission, because it's just like with the angels when we work with them. If we call them in, then they have the right to be here. But if we don't call them in, they can't really come in and insist and raise the vibe. So I think when we call in the forces of light, then they can come in and do what they've been just sitting or waiting to do, and just opening up that space for them and allowing them to come in with you is what really makes the magic happen. And they need us to wake up to those things, those possibilities.
Oh, and they're so ready. They are so ready. I think a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of stories about spiritual workers getting kind of overwhelmed by the messages. They're hearing so much chatter and seeing so many things that it's overwhelming. Oh, I think that's part of it. You know, they're trying to help. They're like, look, guys, we're here. Please pay attention to us. Grounding in to these sites, to the places that call you, even if it's just the woods in the back of your house, will help not block out those messages, but make them less overwhelming. Because we're here and we're connected to Earth and partnered with Earth to do this. And she can help with all of that. And each time we connect with her is like turning back on a switch inside of ourselves about what we're supposed to be doing and who we are.
Right. So cool. So what are you doing? So what do you want people to do? How do you want them to connect with you? And, where can people find you in that?
So I'm going to revamp my website, which is ascended-warrior.com, with this new work. Right now, it still talks about veterans, so you can still sign up to get updated news there. I am veering away from social media. I've got to find another platform. They just don't feel good to me anymore. There's going to be something. There's going to be some place that I land out there where I can share the videos that I'm taking of this work, share the tarot readings, and tap into, I want to start doing ceremonies with the moon cycles and really tapping into that. And then leading retreats. I want to lead my first retreat in September. Mount Ida was one that I planned before COVID with my Muses ladies. But I'll be doing this one alone and tapping into, it's a sacred node that Cryon is identified.
Yes, that's right. I knew that.
So we're going to go find it. We're going to dig for crystals. We're going to tap into the native hot springs, and we are going to clear that node and activate it. And I believe it connects to South America. So just following where these journeys take us. And I love any and all recommendations for sites. You can definitely reach me on Facebook Messenger. Christina Alyssia, I will always check that. Ascended Warrior, if you send messages through there, I will check that as well. I do post some stuff still on YouTube, Ascended Dash Warrior. I'm just careful about what I post because it feels like this stuff is going against the grain in a new way. So I don't want the powers that be to have any touch or influence over it at all.
Right on.
But send me your recommendations. And if you have sites that you want to connect to, send them to me. And if we get called there, I will 100% let you know.
It'd be nice if you had like a place where people can find out how to connect to you to this retreat that's coming up in Mount Ida. That
Yes.
would be cool. And all the logistics of getting there, that, and have a little newsletter go out. So that'd be awesome. So we know that your favorite crystal right now is amethyst. That's just my intuition saying. It may not be right, but I'm just saying. Is that true?
Yes, the current one for sure. Lemurian seeds have always been like my family. They call to me, but amethyst is it's been coming in a very, very, very big way, along with the sacred geometry of it. So the sphere, and really tapping into that crystalline grid energy and connecting light workers in a brand new way. I've got some things in the works there to connect light workers in a new way. And I will post everything to the Ascended Warrior Facebook group. I do have that. So you can still come in there and I will 100% still post that. And when I do find this new platform, I will invite everybody in. I haven't disconnected from it. It just doesn't feel like the right place to do this work anymore for me.
Maybe we could grid social media.
We need some new social media, yes. And
or just change it. Let's transmute it. That's so much easier, right? Let's just transmute it. And yeah, I transmute it by just deleting everything that bugs me. So that works well. Yeah.
But please, anybody who's interested, connect via Facebook. If you go into the Ascended Warrior group, I'll start checking that. I'm terrible about checking it, but I will start checking it.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah, just start posting your pictures of light and love, and that just nice beacon goes up for everybody else.
Yes.
So when you were in Ireland, did you see any UFOs or meet any other beings? You talked about the fairies.
Yes, there was a site. It was near the Hill of Tara. It's called the it was like the Mound of Sorrow, which is just the worst name ever. And I immediately, the minute I saw it, I like ran up the hill. I was like, this is wrong. I don't like what they're calling it. And it was, it's a landing zone. It was a portal where star beings would come in. So I went around the back and there was an entrance to it, a little gated area. And on the inside, on both sides of the wall, were star faces. You could see them carved into the rock, but only if the light hit them just right. So I took a ton of pictures of that. So I 100% connected with the star energy in those places. They used that as a landing site a lot. Ireland was a big hub of activity for them, and they want to use it again. But no, I didn't see any. No, I don't think so. I don't think I saw them in the sky. I think the last time I saw UFOs in the sky was Mount Shasta with you guys.
That was fun. No, so can you post some of those pictures? Because I'd love to see
Yes.
the star beings and pictures of the Mound of Sorrow. And I'm going to look that up and wonder why it's called the Mound of Sorrow.
They said because of the people that died there. What it felt like was like it felt like a clogged pore of souls.
Okay.
It was meant to be a transition spot where souls could come and go very, very easily. And same thing that, we humans like to do is they've tainted it and changed the frequency. So I did a lot of work on that mound. I think that was the one that really zapped me on my energy at the end because I got very sick when I came home. I was walking spirals around it. I was connecting into it. I left some stones inside of the mound I blessed some stones and I left them in there because that's not at all what it was meant to be. The mound of sorrow or whatever it was called. But that was how they were disrupting the flow.
By giving it a negative connotation. So when people came, they would reflect on sad things, and that would just feed into the energy.
Think what that does. Yeah, you put a placard there saying, "Oh, the massacre of."
Yeah, so everybody feels all the losses they've ever had in their life, and to commiserate with it, because everybody loves a sad movie, and so they just feed off it. So if they had the mound of joy, can you imagine, like the mound of joy or the mound of renewal? It would have been a whole different vibe for them.
That feels good. Yes, renaming them, that's powerful.
How when Cryon would talk about the crystalline grid, and he said that for so many thousands of years it was programmed to give us back certain kind of memories of places and things, and some of those were the sorrowful things, so that we could learn from history. But that now the stones are talking again, like you already know, and it's time for a change. And now they're being reprogrammed to pick up the celebrations and the unity and the things that we bring together, which is still what the work is that you're doing. Exactly what the crystalline grid needs.
There's always that Buddhist, mantra's not the right word, but a Buddhist ideal, which was to be the observer. It's okay to think of sad things and to remember our history. Those are very, very important, but we don't have to emotionally connect to them anymore. We can take the importance and we can take the lessons and the moments that we have gone through and see the joy of how far we've come, but we don't have to connect to the energy, the negative energy, the sadness anymore.
Yeah, keep the lessons and keep the blessings and lose the connection, like that anchor that pulls us back. Just cut those cords. And I think that's a lot of things that we have to do, is cut the cords too.
And I think a lot of people are beating up against that now. There's still a ton of us that have so many anchors into our back that every time we run forward, we keep getting pulled back. Like, it's like these bungee cords behind our backs, just stopping us from making it further. Those are 100% things that we can release on our own. We just have to be willing.
Yeah, Archangel Michael will come in and do it anytime for you. You just have to ask. Again, it's all about the asking and giving permission, and giving permission for yourself not to keep reliving the past. So because you're afraid that if you don't, you're dishonoring it or something. I don't know why. Why we have to go back. So
yeah, fear of what you'll become if you don't have that anymore.
Yeah, so much lighter. You might be able to fly. But,
there's a big addiction to sadness and fear. It's one of the reasons we mark tragic events versus happy events. How many sites are marked with celebratory things? This is where humans came together and held hands, and I've never seen that placard. That would be great.
Let's start doing that. Yeah. Start doing that, man. This is where we had a big laugh. Yes. Yeah.
Taking their power back. It's important, and they're ready, right?
Oh, for sure. I think the human race is ready for that. Thank you, Chris, for being on today. And we'd love you to just let us know and we'll put it up on our board and let everybody know, because everybody's excited probably to go to Mount Ida. Inspired and let's go to Mount Ida. Yeah, that'd be a cool place to go. That would be cool.
Crystals are so beautiful there. They're so
I know. Beautiful. Digging for your own crystals and then blessing the waters of Mount Ida with them. Yes, that's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. It's like Anahata blesses the waters around the world, and just vibing those up and teaching people how to bless the water. That's a pretty cool thing to do. So it's so great to see you. Everybody's so happy. Karen Linder says hi. Christina, great to see you. Yay.
Hi, Karen.
Yay. We love having you ladies on. So thank you so much. And any final words, Teresa? I'm going to put us on 3. Sorry, I'm just recovering here.
I don't think I have final words, but I do have a, because when I listen to Cryon, I always take notes and I write down those affirmation things that he says. And there was one for when you're going to places that has had battlefield, you can feel it underneath and all, and that you stand there. Here I stand now in this. It was 2017, I think, when I wrote it. But you named the year that you're in. Here I am, and no longer will this place give us this kind of memory. I don't know. I'd have to go look at it again. But you guys are reminding me of that today, and it's like I see fulfillment of what they were saying through listening to you, Chris. So it's cool.
Oh yeah.
And Teresa, you're going to have to get on the research wagon and find out why Memphis and ISIS are all connected and what needs to be cleared in Tennessee.
Well, heck yeah. Gosh, I'm so curious. It's Teresa Holmes that sent me the video there. And reading, and I thought, I was listening to the lady, Bryce, who was really cool. It's like, dude, I'm going to look this up. And so I typed it in, and it was freaking true. And I was like, right here under my feet, because I'm a California girl, and I don't know why I'm here in this land, but now maybe it's ISIS. Who knows?
Yeah, so sweet. Thank you again. And Teresa, do you have the winner, or do you want me to announce the winner? It doesn't matter.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, I do. Let me think of it again. Lynn Marie, right? Or who was it?
Yes, Lynn Marie, right.
Lynn Marie.
Was the winner from last week.
So, Lynn Marie, you have won our spa. What do we call that thing? Our soul spa?
Soul spa.
Egyptian.
Soul spa. Yeah,
cleansing
Egyptian.
with Mott.
Yeah, cleansing with Mott, and now ISIS too. So yeah, so that's kind of like an energetic cleansing you can do from your house, and you don't have to be in Egypt. You can just go with Teresa's meditation there, and we do go. So it's pretty cool, and we'll send you the link for yourself, or if you want to share it. So yeah, wonderful. Thank you again, and we will see you next week, everyone, and have a great week. And happy Earth Day, Mother Gaia. Pachamama, happy Earth Day, happy Earth Week. I guess it's Earth Week this week, so have a great week, ladies. And I'm glad we're talking about that because it's all connected, right? So kind of great to be here at Earth Week talking about cleansing secret sites on Gaia. Awesome. Thanks very much. Talk to you later.
Thank you guys for having us.
Namaste.